Good day, everyone. We are the group 3, and for today's topic, we will be discussing to you about lesson 3, which is the performance assessment. So, we will begin in asking a question. How do you assess students' learning outcomes using various types of performance assessment tools? It is, of course, by giving assessment that could help the teachers for them to know if the students really comprehend the lesson and how far they learn about a certain topic. There were methods that will be utilized in the assessment through performance to the students in attainment of the learning outcomes. So before we go on to the topic, let us go back first to the meaning of or the essence of assessment. The word assess comes from the Latin verb assedere, meaning to sit with. It means, if we broaden it literally, it will mean we look up to, or the teacher will look up to or observe the students. In other words, the teacher that sits with the student means the teacher will facilitate the learner. Assessment in education is the process of gathering, interpreting, recording, and using information about pupils' responses to an educational task. So, it is the process by which information is obtained relative to the objective. So, to sum up these words in commas, assessment is testing or the consistent judgments to improve student learning, to check the progress also of the learners. So why is there a need to assess students? So first, to gather evidence of student learning. If how far have they learned about the topic, how much the student knows, so that the teacher can decide whether to reiterate or repeat the topic or not. Next, we have to inform instruction. If delivering a snapshot of what students know, what student should learn, and what student do not know yet. Next is to motivate student and increase student achievement. Now, in using assessment, it is the way on helping the students to be motivated in doing their task. So why do we assess? So that to know if students can apply what they have learned in real scenarios or authentic situations. Now, why is it important to assess? First, to find out what the students know, the knowledge, how far they have engaged with the topic, to find out what the students can do and how well they can do it, so that the teacher can identify the things that the students were able to do and to make sure that they know what they are expected to do. Next, to find out how students go about the task of doing their work or the process. To have an idea as to how the learners develop and obtain the knowledge through their task. And of course, to find out how students feel about their work. How motivated are they in doing their task or in their performance. Assessment is an integral part of the process of teaching and learning, and using assessment for the enhancement of student learning. Why? Because assessment makes reliable decisions about education planning, and also it helps the teacher to understand students' learning. And lastly, it serves as the feedback for students as well as for the teachers. If the teachers are effective in their learning modality or methods. The primary objective of assessment is to ensure that the learning objectives formulated by her or him are achieved through appropriate assessment methods. Assessment and objectives are interrelated. Objectives state what is expected, and assessment provides tools to determine whether the learning outcomes have been reached or achieved. Next is, this is the what students can do with their learning. What students are capable of doing while learning. And Assessments which are formal or informal, high or low stakes, anonymous or public, individual or collective. So these are the kinds of assessments here. So this assessments will be touched, or these are the tools that will be utilized while assessing the students. And of course, now by having evaluation or assessment, the teacher can of course answer these questions. How do I know the required learning has taken place, and what might I need to modify or change about the course to best support student learning? The purpose of assessment may be broadly categorized into two different heads. First is assessment for instructional purposes, which essentially means assessment for learning. So the purpose of assessment is not only to certify learners, but also to help them understand learning difficulties and the way to overcome these difficulties. Now, it means that the teacher should carry out formal and informal observations in the classroom. So, you shall adopt learner-centered methods and techniques of teaching and assessment, like by group discussion, meaningful peer discussion in the classroom, or like the inquiry and another methods of learning, the use of problem-based learning approach, and many others. Next is assessment and evaluation for certification. So the other important purpose of assessment in the teaching learning process is to certify students. So like giving of major examinations after the whole duration of like the learning, or like giving of to test their learning, like national achievement tests or any major examinations to certify if they have really, how far did they learn the whole duration of the class during a semester or school year. So the desired significant learning outcomes, we have here: design appropriate performance assessment tools for intended student learning outcomes. Now we will proceed to the next reporter to tackle about what really is the essence of performance task.